In 1963, a man in Turkey was renovating his home when he knocked through a wall in his basement. Behind the wall was not dirt, but a dark passage leading down into the cold earth. He followed it down, and he discovered a vast city carved into the rock beneath his house. It had room after room, tunnel after tunnel, plunging down 18 levels into the ground. This is Derinkuyu, an underground city that once sheltered as many as 20,000 people. It reaches over 280 feet beneath the surface, deeper than a 25-story building is tall. Deep down, the air stays a constant 13 degrees, cool in summer and warm against the killing winter cold. Carving all of it by hand took generations, and many diggers surely died in the cramped, airless dark. And for centuries, this entire hidden city had been sealed up and completely forgotten. Derinkuyu lies in the region of Cappadocia, in the heart of modern-day Turkey. The ground there is made of soft, volcanic rock that is easy to carve but stays strong. For thousands of years, people there dug homes, churches, and tunnels straight into the stone. But Derinkuyu is something far greater, a whole secret city built entirely below the ground. But here is the first question that has haunted archaeologists ever since it was found. Why would thousands of people choose to abandon the sunlight and live deep underground? The answer is chilling. They went underground to survive because above ground meant death. For 2,000 years, this land was a highway for war, and the people living here were the prey. Cappadocia sat on a brutal crossroads where army after army marched through for centuries. Persians, Arabs, Mongols, and raiders all swept through, burning crops and killing the people. A single raid could leave a whole village of 500 people slaughtered or enslaved in one afternoon. When invaders came to kill, enslave, or rob them, the people simply vanished into the earth. They could hide down there for weeks or even months until the danger above had passed. But here is the terrifying gamble they made every single time the Arab raiders appeared. If raiders found the entrance and sealed them in, the whole city could starve in the dark. And now imagine you are one of them, hearing hoofbeats above as you flee down into the dark. You carry your children, your food, and your animals down into a city with no sky. You will not see the sun again until the men who came to kill you finally give up and leave. But here is the genius that kept those 20,000 people alive in the airless deep. The builders cut more than 50 deep ventilation shafts straight up to the open air. Fresh air flowed down to every level, so the people far below could always breathe. Some shafts dropped down to wells, giving clean water no enemy above could poison. A clever channel carried waste far away, so no enemy could trace the smell to the hidden entrance. Without that air and water, those 20,000 people would have suffocated or died of thirst. And here is why the engineering of Derinkuyu was quite literally a matter of life and death. And then there was the city's most fearsome defense, waiting at every level. Huge round stone doors, some weighing 1,000 pounds, could seal a tunnel from the inside. They were carved like giant wheels, and only the people inside could roll them shut. An enemy who forced past the stone doors was trapped and picked off in the narrow killing tunnels. So an entire population could simply lock the world out and disappear for as long as they needed. An enemy who could not break in might try to smoke them out or poison the wells instead. But the hidden shafts and sealed wells meant those attacks usually failed and the people lived. But here is what truly stuns the people who explore Derinkuyu today. This was not just a panic shelter. It was a fully working city with everything people needed. There were kitchens with stone hearths and chimneys that cleverly scattered the telltale smoke. There were stables for animals, storage rooms for grain, and presses for making wine and oil. They even dug deep burial pits, so the bodies of the dead would not spread disease among the living. There were chapels, schoolrooms, and even a great hall carved deep in the living rock. On one level sits a large cross-shaped church, carved 200 feet below the surface of the earth. That single church could hold hundreds of terrified worshippers praying not to be found. People could be born, live, worship, and die down here without ever seeing the sun. And Derinkuyu was not even alone, which makes the mystery far stranger. A long tunnel, several miles wide of ground, may have linked it to another underground city. In total, over 200 underground cities have now been found scattered across Cappadocia. And yet most of them still sit half-explored, their deepest tunnels too dangerous to enter. But here is the question nobody can fully answer. Who first dug Derinkuyu and when? Some believe the first tunnels were cut by a people called the Phrygians, around 800 BC. Others argue the very first diggers were the Hittites, fleeing enemies even earlier. Over 700 years, wave after wave of frightened people expanded it deeper and deeper. Later, early Christians hid here for their lives, fleeing Roman soldiers who hunted them. In the 600s and 700s AD, Arab armies raided Cappadocia again and again, and the city filled with refugees. Down in the blackness, with raiders just overhead, a single crying baby could doom everyone to death. Whole congregations of 1,000 vanished underground for months while their villages burned to ash. For them, being caught above ground could mean torture and death for their entire family. So the city kept growing for 1,000 years, carved by terror and the will to survive. People used Derinkuyu as a refuge right up until the year 1920, nearly within living memory. Then it was abandoned and sealed, and the memory of it faded into total silence. The people who had died defending it took the full map of its tunnels with them to their graves. Until 1963, when one man with a sledgehammer accidentally opened it to the world again. Today, you can walk down into Derinkuyu yourself, into the cold rooms where thousands once hid. And you can still see the soot on the ceilings, left by the fires of the terrified people. Those black stains are the breath of families who hid here, in the dark, over 1,000 years ago. So what does this hidden city, carved 280 feet down in fear, really teach you about people? It teaches you that ordinary people facing death can build something almost unimaginable. When the choice was carve a city or die, they picked up their tools and carved a city. 20,000 people once breathed, prayed, and hid from death in the silent blackness beneath these fields. And it reminds you that beneath our feet, history can hide in total silence for centuries. A man broke one wall, and a whole lost world breathed daylight again for the first time in centuries.